Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing a review of Bad Witch Burning by Jessica Lewis. This is a 2021 release, dark fantasy slash horror that I thought was absolutely stunning. Just such an amazing book, and nobody's reading it. I haven't heard any other reviews of this book, and it really deserves it. So if you like fantasy, if you're looking at new releases, you should for sure consider this one. Let me tell you all about why I loved it so much. So first, let me tell you what the story is about. We follow Cottrell, who is 16 years old, and she is living with her mom, but her mom is kind of struggling. Her mom hasn't been able to have a job for many months, and really they're relying on Cottrell to bring in money from her part-time job that she's doing after school to bring in enough money to have food and rent, except that it's really not enough, and they're about to become homeless. So Cottrell is driven to some pretty desperate measures to try to get enough money just to live on. She, since she's a child, has been able to see ghosts, and she's had a side gig for a while, allowing people to communicate with the ghosts of their deceased loved ones. But recently her magic has changed, and in a very scary way, such that instead of being able to talk to the ghosts, anytime she tries to summon them, she instead brings back them to life. And that is a little bit scary, and she's not sure she wants to do that, but it also is something that could be a lot more lucrative as a business. So we follow Cottrell as she is forced into making some rather difficult decisions, and maybe things don't go so well, all because she just wants to get by. This story is so incredibly written and so powerful. I just love so many things about it, but I do want to mention that there are quite a few content warnings. So all of them are listed in the description box below, but I really want to point out that there is some, abuse and some violence and a little bit of gore even. I am super sensitive, very squeamish, and I don't like violence and gore, so I think that in this book it was very, very mild, but it is there, so just be aware of that. There's also even things like quite a lot of violence against children and animals, so if that's something you're sensitive to, just be aware that it's there, but I think that it was done really, really well in this, and even if you're squeamish like me, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So now let me tell you what I loved about this book, starting with the atmosphere. This book is so atmospheric. It's got such a creepy atmosphere, and I love creepy atmospheres. I don't like things too violent or too gory, but I love that creepy feeling, and you get it throughout this book. Just so much that is going on fills you with a little bit of dread. You're like, this isn't a good idea. What are you doing? This isn't going to turn out well. And the way that the plot progresses just draws you through the book so much. It doesn't rely on grossness or on jump scares or anything like that. It's all about that creepy, dreadful atmosphere. And I think that this book was actually very strong in the way that the plot progressed and how that built the dread to just such a perfect peak. It was so, so good. And I think that also the creepiness of this isn't just about the kind of people being brought back from the dead. It's also about the real world. There are a lot of creepy and scary things going on for Cottrell. Just poverty itself, the fear of not having any food, or just people being abusive in life. There's so much about the real world that is creepy as well as the magic, and I think it just mixed to form this beautiful creepy atmosphere that really engaged me throughout the whole book. I also loved the magic system in this. This is set in the real world, modern day, and Cottrell has this magic. She can see ghosts and later bring people back from the dead, but she's the only one that we know of that does. She doesn't know anybody else who has magic. Nobody talks about there being magic. So we don't really know what's going on. She's never had anybody to mentor her. She doesn't know what's going on with her magic. It just has changed. And so as we go through the book, we learn more about the magic and how it's working. And we discover it as Cottrell discovers it. And I loved that so much, that sense of mystery that happened with the magic, and the way that the magic ties in to the plot line and to the characters and to the theming is so good. I always love it in SFF if the magic or the science that is explored is something that really ties in to what the messages or the themes of the book are. And because, we only learn about it later on in the book, I don't want to go into more detail than that, but it is just fascinating the way that this is set up. And it was so rewarding and just felt so good to see those connections. I really loved the magic in this. Another thing that is developed so well throughout the course of the book is the characters. The characters in this are stunning. I absolutely fell in love with all of the characters. Cottrell as the main character is so intense. I loved her so much. She is somebody who is struggling to get by, and she's struggling to do what's right, and she's struggling to protect the people that she loves, and she's facing so many issues that she has to get through, and she's got such resilience and strength and anger. She's so much anger at what's going on, and I loved it. I just really empathized with her. And she's got quite a few, character flaws as well that she really has to work on. There's a ton of growth for her. She's very much a different person at the end of the novel than she is at the beginning, and I love seeing that arc for her. But it's not just for her. The secondary characters in this, the supporting characters, are so incredibly well fleshed out, so nuanced. We see so many good parts and so many bad parts. We see what people's motivations are. We understand them, and they have their own arcs as well. And it's just, you feel the nuance and the care that is given to the characters in this novel, and it's really wonderful. And since the characters are just such a key part of the story, another thing that I loved about this book is that the relationships are really the heart of what's going on in this story. So even though we have all of this magic going on and these, people being brought back from the dead and a lot of really cool things going on plot-wise, the relationships are the heart of this. And especially Cottrell's relationships with the people that she loves. Her best friend is a key part of the story, and so much of what happens is about Cottrell trying to be with her best friend and connect with her and do what they can together as a team. It also is about Cottrell's love for her mom. Her mom is a very flawed character, but Cottrell is trying so hard because she wants to be with her mom and wants to protect her mom. And the motivation of the relationships is huge, but also the development of the relationships over the course of the novel and the way that the characters have to learn to make healthier choices in the way that they relate to each other and set boundaries and communicate. And it's just so fantastic, the heart in this story and the way that the relationships play into the magic and to the plot and to the character development. It's excellent. And one more thing that I absolutely loved about this story was the way it integrated so many different social issues into the discussions that were happening in this book, especially that of poverty. Cottrell is dealing with some pretty extreme poverty, a lot of food insecurity, worries about becoming homeless, just really working herself to the bone just to try to get by. Also fear that she's going to be taken away from her mom by Child Protective Services. So many different issues here. But what I really liked is that this more forms the background and some of the motivations for Cottrell and her world. And it isn't necessarily the forefront of the story. This is not a heavy story. This isn't a story that is emotionally taxing or one where you feel just so much sadness and pain. It's actually one that is filled with a ton of, cool magic and a lot of dread because some magic is going wrong. But it's not a heavy book. This is one that is filled with a main character who's so strong and so resilient and just such a badass witch. She's got all this power and all of this resolution to do whatever it takes. And so this story, even though it has these difficult social issues it's integrating into the story, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is the magic and the characters. And so I loved getting that kind of way that it addresses those issues without being such a heavy book. It was just such a deeply satisfying book. Overall, Bad Witch Burning is Just a fantastic story filled with so much really creepy atmosphere and excellent magic, great characters, and just everything that I'm looking for in a book. It was something that was incredibly engaging from the very first page to the very last page, and so deeply satisfying in the way that it layered on different meanings and the way that it was just such a great conclusion. I loved the way that this book ended. It was perfection. I really want everybody to read this book. I'm so sad that I don't hear more people talking about it because I think it's absolutely fantastic. I know this is going to be one of my favorites this year. It is just such a great book. I hope that many other people read it. If you guys have read this, definitely let me know. I want to hear about it. Or if you're interested, I'd love to hear what is interesting to you, or if you know of any other books like this. This is just such a great book, and I'd love to chat with you about it. Just leave me a comment down below.